Hi, Gaye DeRusso here with Majestic Rider. Jackson, you want to say hi? You were saying hi. You want to say hi? Ah, yeah, saying hi. Okay, holding the phone because it's windy and I know you won't be able to hear me. So today we're talking about how to get your horse to go forward with the lightest touch. Some of you have horses that are a little bit on the duller side, and what happens over the time is they seem to get duller and duller, and you're trying to figure out why is that happening. Most of the time when a horse is dull, what people do is they tend to kick the horse. And then they kick the horse over and over again, and they really start thumping on it. Sometimes you can, hear them kicking it in the ribs. And instead of the horse getting faster, the horse just starts to shut down, and it starts to ignore the rider. And sometimes they're driving with the seat, they're hitting the horse, they're spurring the horse, they're kicking the horse, and then all of a sudden, nothing seems to work. So first, when you're riding a horse, say you're riding in the arena, which I am today, and you want the horse to go forward, you can make circles and stuff in the beginning before you're working on forward, but when you're working on forward, don't start putting it in any circles or leg yields or anything like that, because first you're trying to get one thing done, and that's the forward button back. So if you're working on other things, it's not going to happen. So first just go forward, no circles, just go straight or go somewhere. When you put the leg on the horse, I want you to use as much leg as you're going to want to use in the future. So if you don't want to squeeze hard, then don't squeeze hard. But you have to put a little leg on the horse so it knows, but it could be the lightest touch. And then what you're going to do is you're going to tap with your stick. You're going to start light taps with a rhythm, and you're going to keep tapping, and you're going to start harder and harder if the horse is not going forward. Now, as you're doing this, the horse might squirt forward in the beginning. Don't hit him in the mouth because you want the forward. So if he goes into a canter or something, let him go for a couple of steps at least before you slow him back down and then go forward again. But sit back and keep their head up. That's very important because some of these horses that are lazy and dull will kick out or they will buck and protest because they want to go forward. But if you ride it out, in time they will just go forward and all the bucking and the kicking will actually stop. But they are hoping they can intimidate you and get you to stop. Okay? So lightest touch and then tap, tap, tap with your stick until you get the speed you want them to go. But again, you may have to increase the pressure to actually get it. If they slow down at all, just give a little tiny squeeze with your leg and then tap, 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 tap with the stick. And it's got to be like a dressage whip, long and thin, so you can hit them behind your leg. Okay? Then you'll be able to get them to go. And again, when you go, don't immediately stop like 10 steps later because you're trying to get them to go forward, so let them go somewhere before you stop. The trick also with these horses is when you rest them, don't rest them in the same spots. They know where those spots are, and then they always want to get there and stop. So they memorize, where is she going to stop me? She stopped me over there last time, and then they'll start to slow down. So stop in different places, keep changing the game up because they like to memorize it, and that's where they actually get dull. So Jackson, who's on, would actually rather go slow than fast, but he will go fast. If you get on him and just kick him and kick him and kick him, he will shut down and ignore you and not go forward. So I'm going to show you how to get him to go. And what I want you to think is, when you see people in the crowd and there's a little kid after his mother, he's trying to get his mother's attention to do something, and he's like, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, mommy," and he keeps doing it over and over again. You're like, "Oh my God, shut that kid up," right? And what happens is the mother's totally ignoring them because she's used to them doing that over and over again, that she has just shut down and she can't hear them and she can just ignore them. So that's what's happening with your horse is just shutting down and ignoring you because you've become quite annoying to him by that kicking. And he probably gave you some and then you kicked and asked for some more. So we're going to try it a little bit different. So I will show you. So I won't be able to talk to you from far away, but all I'm going to do is give a light leg and then tap, tap, tap with my stick to make him go. Right now I don't have much leg on him. He's kind of screwing around because we got to rest. Okay, so right now I'm going to ask him for his first gait. So light little touch, nothing happening, so tap, 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 tap. So I get a response. So now I'm hardly touching him with my leg and I'm kind of staying out of his mouth because I don't want him to slow down too much. And I'm going to cluck and give him warning too when I want a little bit more like right now, I'm going to clock. Oh, he learned his lesson. So now I got no leg on at all. So now we'll go up to his next speed. I'm going to clock and then start tapping if he doesn't go. So you'll see he's going pretty good now, so I'll go the other way. The light leg. And tap, tap, tap. Now he's actually going too fast because he got a little bumpy. So I slowed him down a little bit with a little squeeze and relax. A little bumpy, so now I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on. Now you see how quick he came down to the walk, right? Because his mind is always on stop. So his mind's always on stop. Some horses are always on go, and you're doing the reverse. So with him, we're trying to get him more sensitive now that we know who's buying him, and she wants him more forward. So just a light leg and then tap, tap, tap with your stick. So when I'm tapping with my stick, hopefully you can see me, I'm tapping behind my leg, and when I do it, I'm going to hit me. So see how I'm getting harder? So that's what you're going to do with the horse. They're depending on you quitting. They're depending on you giving up and not hitting them harder. And if you turn around and whack them and launch them once, they're going to go flying. So I want to speed him up, but I don't want him to gallop down the arena unless he was being really stubborn. So he's not. He's being quite good. So everything I ask him from now on is going to be just with a light leg. And then he's going to go. Now, again, you got to remember, you put your friends on the horse, you got to be like, hey, the trainer taught him it's light leg. So don't squeeze him, because if you squeeze him, he is going to go, because then he thinks somebody's going to get after him. They're going to go forward. So just remember, you might have to dull him back down some if you got other people riding them, but then amp them back up when you're on them. Because if you make them too sensitive and a random person gets on and squeeze, they're going to go flying, and it's not the horse's fault. Okay, so when we ask him to go, if he gets bumpy at all, even a little bouncy, then we're going to give a little half halts on the rein, but not real hard, because we don't want to tap the brakes too hard with him. And otherwise, with a horse that doesn't, is not on go all the time, keep the reins kind of floppy, because if you get in their mouth too much, they're just looking for an excuse to slow down. Okay, so now I was sitting here for a while, so it might be a little bit harder to go. So same thing, I'm going to look up, bring my energy up, look where I want to go. I'm not putting anything on him now. My legs are off. I'm going to give a little squeeze in a second, and when I squeeze, if he doesn't immediately walk off, I'm going to tap, tap, tap with my stick. So here we go. I bring my energy up, a little bit of leg, nothing happened, tap, 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 till he goes. Okay, now I'm going to ask him to go just a little faster, so a little leg. And this is actually pretty good for his first speed. And we're going downhill. So this is his first speed, it's flat walk. Now this horse doesn't have a big stride like some of the other walking horses. So he's walking out and up, but it might feel a little slow if you got a shorter strided horse. I put the cluck in there, that's a warning that I'm going to hit you. So if I put my light leg on and nothing happens, I'm going to give one a little cluck, and then I'm going to hit. Now I'm going to ask him to go faster, a little speed. Nothing happens. Tap, 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 tap. And then a light leg. Light leg. Now if I breathe out, then I'm bringing him back to a walk, but then I'm immediately going to put a little leg on him, because you know, we like to teach a good stop, but someone taught him like a quarter horse stop, and it's too quick. So I want to make that better by, you know, not completely stopping. So when I slow down, I just breathe, and then I immediately push so he keeps walking. So now let's try his gaits the other way. So we're going to turn him around. So he's good moving off your leg and everything. He totally gets it. It's just whoever trained him, you know, before I got him, put a lot of whoa on him. So it's always on his mind, which is nice if you want to stop. But you know, that's why I got gaited horses. I don't want my gaited horse like that. I want him to go, but also listen. All right. So here we go. So this is going to be his first speed, his flat walk. You can always press with one leg and then the other, press with one leg, then the other. Sometimes that works better in some, but no kicking. You'll just teach your horse to ignore you, and you'll bruise his ribs, and I'll feed you. I'm going to stop for a minute. Whoops, keep going, Jackson. Good boy. The other thing, some people want to rush down the hills, you know. These horses are trying to be careful with their feet because they drag their toes. So, you know, if you got one that's careful with his feet down the hill, you can go a little faster, but don't rush it. These horses don't move the same as the regular horses. And so if they're being careful with their feet, there's a reason. You know, again, it's usually because they drag their feet more, they don't pick their feet up as high, and they're trying to keep you safe. So if you make them run down hills and they start tripping, guess whose fault that is? Not his. All right, so we're going to go a little faster. See his head go up and down. But this horse doesn't have a lot of overreach. And his little step pace is smoother than his running walk. So now I'm going to speed him up, light leg. Tap, 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 tap. See there, he stopped a little. Okay, so he's doing pretty good. So we're going to try his canter to try, and I'm going to do the same thing. I always warn the horses when I go to canter them. So I give them a half halt, I shift my weight, and then I use my outside leg to canter off. If he doesn't canter right off, I'm going to tap him with the stick. This arena goes uphill and downhill, so I'll only canter around those poles, and then I'll be coming right back to a walk because I don't want him to canter down the hill. That'll only put him on his front end. Here I can only get a couple of steps to be safe. Canter. Forward so he doesn't come to a dead stop. He'll just hit the brake. So one more time, half halt, shift the weight to the outside and outside leg. Canter. The other way, so it'll be half halt, outside leg, which will be my left leg, and say the word canter so he knows. Canter. Half halt, shift the weight to the left and left leg. Canter. And forward. I'm going to do it one more time. Good boy, but I'm not going to stop when I say good boy or anything. said, I think his break is walking. Falls outside leg. Jackson did a great job. The horses don't always know what you want, you know, and if you become too annoying, they ignore you. And if you're doing the wrong things, they might ignore you, which is good because, you know, he's not going to kill you, he's just going to get slow and stop. So he did great moving off from a light leg, so he's just going to get better and better. But the key is to do it right every single time. To do it right every single time. So when you put that leg pressure, I'm going to put it on my arm, you know, keep it light. Don't thump it like this. You see a lot of dressage people kicking, and other people kicking too. But at least for me, you know, I like, you know, your way might be just fine, but if it's not working, then put a light pressure on, and then when they won't go, tap, 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 tap with the stick. Now, a lot of people don't like to carry sticks. They don't like to wear spurs. Belting them in the side with your heel is much worse than a little poke with a spur. Don't kick with a spur, a little poke or a little tap with the stick, right? So I just did it to myself, and me punching my hand hurt a lot more than me poking my hand or me tapping my hand. So the horse wants to do what's right, right? If it's a good horse, you're so cute. They want to do what's right because they want you to kind of leave them alone, and they'll do their job and take care of you. And if you're nice to them, they'll just do it because they're nice animals. And you know, you might feed them at some point. And so they'll take good care of you. But if you do it wrong, they'll ignore you and, you know, put some fight in there. But just remember, in the beginning, when they don't know and they're trying to ignore you, that's when they might kick out or buck. But if they're doing that over and over again, something's wrong. They should get this pretty quick if you're doing it correctly, or ask somebody to help you, or have them watch this video. Okay, so I hope that helps everybody with pokey horses. Remember, go somewhere, go straight, don't make the circles, stay out of their mouth, light leg, tap, 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 tap with the stick, no kicking. And if you wear spurs, you can put some pressure on them, but do not kick with those spurs, okay? All right, that's our tip of the day. Right? You want to show him? Hey, give me a kiss. What? He's kind of embarrassed. I'll give him a kiss instead.